Hey YouTube friends! I'm really sorry about coming back after over a year only to tell you that the Dev Diaries series is ending. I cannot believe that I've been a software engineer for almost 8 years and that I've been sharing moments of that with you for the past couple of years here on YouTube. I'm really happy that you've stuck around even if my days did look kind of the same day in and day out,
But regardless of how boring or similar my day-to-day looked like, you still are here and watched it and reached out to me on LinkedIn and told me how much these videos meant to you and how much it's encouraged you to pursue engineering or to hang in there during a tough job market. And honestly, those comments and those moments have really truly enriched my life as well, so thank you. Unfortunately, this chapter has come to an end for me because I am pursuing another equally exciting, pretty much related. I guess we'll see, right? I'm going to talk about that more in a different video. But for now, I just want to say thank you for being part of this journey, and I hope that you enjoy this one last episode of the Dev Diaries. Here on the light left side is the Figma specs, and here on the darker side is my VS Code. Earlier I created the files that I need, so like just the files, empty but naming it correctly, just so that I don't forget to wire up some exports and indexing and things like that. Those are basically a very fancy way of saying placeholders for what the code is eventually going to be. And now I'm going to work on the template. So the way that I like to do components is after I figured out the design and the requirements and specs, I have my template open and then my component logic open, those two files. And as I am building out the template, basically deciding div and buttons and things like that, as I'm adding those, I'm also adding any logic that is needed on the component side. So let's say that I added a button, and if I click this button I want to perform this function, then I add the click and then I add the function in the component, and I just kind of go back and forth like that until I have, let's say, a rough draft of the component, and then I focus in on one of the files to kind of flesh it all out some more. And that's how a component gets made, Misha style. So I'm just going to go do that now, and then you can enjoy some beautiful time-lapse slash b-roll slash whatever music I put on. Hello, good afternoon. It is 2:45 p.m. I'm checking in with you a lot later in the day because it's just been so hectic. I accomplished a bunch of stuff today. First of all, while I was waiting for reviews on my time picker component, I finally got the gumption, willingness, motivation, energy, whatever you want to call it, to take something that's been in my head out into the world. So for a very long time now, I've been thinking that the way that we categorize and organize our components on our storybook is not very helpful. The way that we did it before, the way that we currently do it now is we organize essentially by size. So we have the concept of atoms, molecules, compounds, and organisms. The idea is that really basic bare bones components are atoms, and then if you combine two atoms together, let's say like a label and an input, to create like a form field, then that form field is a molecule. And then if you combine a bunch of those molecules together, then you'll get compounds, and if you combine compounds together, you'll get organisms. So most of our components are really between the atoms, the molecules and the atoms and the molecules. And it's a little bit confusing to somebody who's really new to storybook, or to our storybook rather, because I feel like they'd have to look at the entire list to figure out which component they need. And we have a lot of components now. I counted. We have 48 components, not counting the other 20 things that we have on our storybook. So it's kind of a nightmare to sift through. And as a developer, personally, I'm starting to feel confused about where I should be placing my components. And yeah, it's just not a great system. So I finally got this idea out of my head and onto a Confluence doc. Confluence is basically like an internal wiki blog, whatever you want to call it. It's a product by Atlassian. Atlassian makes Jira, so we're in the Atlassian ecosystem, I guess. But yeah, so I finally got it out onto a Confluence, and then I shared the link to my teammates in engineering, but also our partners in design, and there's lively discussions going on, and it's just great. And then very recently, like maybe 20 minutes ago, my time picker finally got merged to main, which is basically a really complicated way of saying that my code has been accepted into the repository. Deployment is happening right now, so in about 5 minutes or so, time picker should be live in the Cisco ecosystem to whoever uses our components. Yeah. And then let's see, what else did I do today that was super productive? I did a lot of event related programming stuff, like event programming stuff, because we're putting on our biggest event for my ERO in late April, so there's a lot of like logistics and tasks to figure out there, so I've also been doing that. And I did not skip breakfast, I did not skip lunch, so it's a very good day for me. Good morning, it's Friday, day 8 of the sprint. I think that I just want to talk about Thursday because I ended up having a really bad afternoon. I think it's because I had placed an incredible amount of pressure on myself to do an incredible amount of work, and then I wasn't able to do it. And then I just gave myself a really bad migraine, and not the business. So today is Friday now. I did make a lot of progress yesterday. It has put me in a much better shape on my daytime picker component, but at what cost? Yeah. So my lovely fiance took me out on a breakfast date. We went to a cafe and I had a really good had a really good plate of crepe stack, I think is what they call it, and then he had just a couple of fruit because he had already eaten breakfast at that point. But yeah, it was nice. I feel much better. My mood has lifted, and I'm going to attempt to do just a little bit more today and just let the chips fall where they may and not put myself through hell trying to accomplish something. It is not worth the mental and physical health of myself. It is not that serious. A daytime picker is not that serious.
Hello. So my friend, who happened to be in the sister team that I needed approval from, kindly took the time to just review my PR, and now I can press squash and merge. I didn't even have this PR for that long. Some people have PRs like months. This was only 7 calendar days, so like it's Thursday, so like really like 5 working days. Oh, I feel like adrenaline coming down. But anyways, if you're watching this, thanks Anthony. I am gonna go insane. Oh my god. Love my job. Love my job.
Hello. So this morning, Thursday, I have training at 8 a.m. but I had forgotten that it was at 8 a.m. because my Tuesday training is at 7:30. So I show up super early and I'm like warming up from like 7:20 a.m. until like 7:45, and then I text my trainer. I'm like, hey, do we still have our session? And then he says, you're at 8 on Thursdays. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. So yeah, that was kind of silly, but that meant that I ended up having like an hour plus workout, which I haven't done in a while, and so I actually feel very alert right now, even though it's 3 p.m. And like usually I would need coffee or something right now, but I feel really good. And actually my friend, I met up with 3 friends today, so maybe that also helps.
because I'm an extrovert, I guess. So I had a cafe morning working session with one friend, and then I met two friends for lunch, and we went to the same college, and then we just caught up, and it was really nice. And we started to have some serious talks because we're not young anymore, I guess. I mean, I feel like we're like in this first quarter of like real adulthood, whatever the hell that means. But yeah, it was really nice, but obviously it's a work day, so we had to call it quits when somebody had a meeting, and now I'm back. Right now it's 3 o'clock. I have a very manual thing to do, which is to rename this directive, and it has like 50 occurrences, I think, maybe 30, maybe 35. So the good part is that it's pretty easy. The bad part is that it's kind of repetitive. So I'm just gonna crunch this out. Hopefully this solves the issue with the duplicate modules, and then that will be like a big check mark with this ticket, and then I can take a look at this other ticket for adding a harness for file upload. That one is interesting because ideally there should be like a nice, like easy way to do it, easy function to do it, like a built-in function, but there isn't. And so this one is a little bit hairier. We need to do a workaround. But I did meet with our architect this morning, and he gave me like a pointer of where to look, so I'm gonna follow that lead, but after I do this. Yeah.
That's what I was saying is preemptive, but I think I'm hoping that like the overall structure of here's a tab structure, here are some links, and definitely I think this structure would probably, it's going to be some sort of table, and so we can get started on thinking what that would look like. That's the hope anyway. Okay, let me jump back to the design doc here. Just for reference, what is this? For reference, this is the legacy view that they're kind of trying to redo here. It's basically a list of suites or a list of products.
I'm taking a break from my career, 13 months to be exact, starting April 1st, 2024, which is crazy that it lined up with April Fool's Day because it's not an April Fool's Day joke. I am taking a break. My company has this thing called on-ramp leave, which is a leave of at least 12 months, maximum 24 months for you to step away. It's an unpaid leave. You are only able to come back to the company if you are able to secure a job before your time ends. So my time is April 1st, 2024 to June 1st, 2025. This is something that I've been thinking about for a while. This is something that I've been saving up for a while. This is something that I've wanted for a while. And now that it is actually about to happen, I am so lost. I think part of the problem is that I'm kind of thinking about this. Okay, the big problem is that I am unable to figure out whether I want to take this period to rest completely or take this period to explore fun things like travel. I don't have as much money. I will not have as much money saved up anymore if I just kept traveling during this 13 months. And I am also a married woman with a cute dog, so I don't want to leave them behind a lot these 13 months. And I also know that I need to take a break, but I am also so full of possibilities. This is the first time in my life ever, I think, that I have not been tethered to anything, and it is terrifying because everything is possible, which means
it's a success. Welcome to the